Hello and welcome to MAA Week 10 Part 2, and I'm going to go through the relevant costing lecture questions and the answers to the Word document that you find attached to this series. Okay, so what we're going to look at, first one, example 1, lots and lots of words to this as always. And what will make you laugh is that the answers are very, very straightforward and actually quite simple. So all it is making sure that we read the question properly. So a short-term decision, it requires 1,000 kilograms of material P, and we're looking for the relevant cost of material P, and there's quite a few things going on. We've 800 kilograms in stock, and it could actually be sold for £3.50, and the current purchase price of the material is £4.50. So what is the actual relevant cost? Well, for 1,000 kilograms of P, the answer is that we purchased 200 kilograms. And we do that because we only have 800 in stock. So that's quite straightforward, and you pay the latest price, as you would expect to do. And so therefore that works out at £900. Now the rest is quite tricky. The rest actually comes from the potential resale price, because that's the cost or the money that you've potentially lost. You're going to use this instead of selling it. And so that's the tricky part to this one. It's quite strange for you to think of it like that. And so the actual relevant cost is 3,700. So let's move on to the next one. Okay. So again, we've got for materials a short-term decision, like every little question should ask you. And like I said, this won't be an exam question. And we've already gone past the phase test point, so these are just really a little bit of fun and how you would work potentially in the real world, as to really understanding the impact of your decisions. So what have we got? Again, we need 1,500 kilograms. We've got 1,000 in stock, and it was purchased last month at £4. And then we've got the replacement cost of £4.80. What's the relevant cost? Well, amazingly enough, there you go. It is exactly what it would cost to replace. Not what it currently costs, not what you've got it valued in stock, exactly what it would cost to replace. The next one, again, looks incredibly difficult. It's just a question of working through it. So we require 200 kilograms of material D. We've got 1,000 kilograms, and there's lots of extra details there. Extra kilograms cost £17. There's no use for material D except as a substitute for E, which is in constant use. And so again, it's trying to throw you, because you've got an original purchase price, you've got a resale value, you've got a replacement cost. What's the relevant cost of material D? Okay, well, there's a few things. Okay, if the contract was not undertaken, the 200 kilograms could be sold for £5. Okay, so that makes us £1,000. Or it gets more tricky, whereby we substitute for material E. If we use D instead of E, then what happens is you need less E to be bought. So actually what happens is you save the company the future value of purchase, and so it's £3,000. So therefore, actually the better choice is saving the £3,000. Let's now switch from materials to labour. Okay, same thinking, same sort of thought process, and then to be honest with you, we're nearly done. We've only got a few left to do. So we've got 100 hours of skilled labour. They're working at full capacity. And what else have we got to know? Well, we've got a selling price, we've got material, we know how long it takes. And the skilled workers' pay rate would not change regardless of which product they work on. What would be the relevant cost? Okay, well, we know the product earns a contribution of £25. Okay, and like I said earlier, this is where it gets a bit strange, is that what you do is you actually calculate any contribution that you lose by not being able to make it and any direct labour costs associated with that. So what you've got is you lose the £25 of contribution plus the £10 in the labour that it would have cost you. So it's actually £35 an hour, and we need 100 hours to make the product because it's 100 units, and so therefore the actual cost is 3,500. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, Company A has asked a quote for a special contract that would require 100 hours. The labourers are paid 50, are working again at full capacity. There's a shortage of labour. Okay, and the labour to require to undertake this contract would be another 500 hours, and it generates £5,000 worth of contribution. If labour was taken from one to the other, then the delay will incur a penalty of £1,000. So what's the relevant cost for this special contract? Okay, so the problem is again is that you've got an opportunity cost. Okay, so here we only have to worry about the wages earned and a penalty fee. So what we're looking at is the £15 per hour that we pay people times £100 plus the £1,000 penalty will give us 2,500, and that's only because we can delay it so we don't lose the contribution. Okay, last one, JB Limited, and this is now, we've moved on from materials and labour relevant costing, we're now moving on to overhead relevant costing, and so now we're looking at is you're thinking about your OAR. So we have a machine hour rate of £20, £7 for variable overheads and 13 for fixed. Okay, the company is deciding whether to undertake a contract in the coming year. If the contract is undertaken, it's estimated the fixed cost will increase for the duration by 3,200. Identify the relevant costs of the fixed and variable overheads for the contract. So very straightforward, is the variable overheads, because they vary with output, will be £7. Okay, now the fixed costs get slightly trickier. Okay, is that what we're looking at is we're not looking at potentially messing around with the overhead absorption rate because that's all budget. Is that really what we're looking at now is just pure expenditure incurred, and we incur 3,200. So you've got to remember is that the variable overhead is a true cost, as it were. That will only be incurred as you increase your volume. Your fixed overheads is a budgeted figure, and it doesn't really matter. It's about that increase in expenditure. Okay, so I'm going to leave it there. That was a nice few things to think about, and hopefully that's given you all the answers to week 10 part 2, and see you all soon.